Overseeing.
Good evening, everybody. As she said, I'm DeAndra Dycus, and I am the executive director of an organization called Purpose for My Pain, based out of Indianapolis. And I have to be honest, I almost backed out of this. I had to call my friend Becky, and I said, Becky, can you please give me some direction on why I should be there? And she said, there's someone there that you should be connecting with, so go. And so after listening to Shauna's story, I said, my God, there's my connection. I have not lost a child in the physical, but I have lost a child in the mental. My son was shot by a stray bullet at 13 years old, and he may never be the same. He doesn't walk, and he doesn't talk, and to me, I have lost in a major way. I have a support group for mothers who have lost their children. And so as I heard your story, I was searching for tissue, thinking about Becky's words and telling me why I should be here. And even my position on this, I am not vaccinated. I have no plans on being vaccinated. I'm one of those ones where they say, well, probably is going totally against the grain. I was actually the Democratic National Convention gun violence speaker for President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. It was the biggest thing I thought I would ever come into my life, and it was not for politics. It was to share my son's story and to be his voice. And that is my second reason for being here, is to make sure that I share with parents there's no greater work that you can do than standing up and being your child's advocate. My son was an innocent bystander, shot by a stray bullet at 13 years old at a birthday party. He was absolutely in the right place at the right time. And since then, I've had to fight and advocate for quality health care for my young Black African-American child that was treated as if he deserved to be shot by that bullet when he had no indication of even what gun violence was, due to the way that I was raising him and from our background. In January, my son got very, very sick. He is in a nursing facility part-time, so they help me take care of him so I can go out and be his voice. On my son's deathbed, I promised him I would be his arms, his eyes, his legs, and whatever he needed me to be until God gave him his abilities back, and we're still praying for that miracle. In January, I received a phone call that my son was in respiratory distress from the facility, and at the height of COVID, I was very nervous, of course, and I believe I went into sheer panic. I don't even know how I got down to 74 to the hospital. He's in a facility in Chevyville. And when I got there, my baby was ventilated for the 7th or 8th time in his life, in his young life. He was on a ventilator, and they kept saying he's negative for COVID, he's negative for COVID. And I went in there and I said, well, there's other things that exist. Have you checked my son for the flu and other respiratory issues? Again, you have to be your child's voice. How did those medical professionals not know to test my baby for flu? They tested him for COVID twice while he was in the hospital. Was he going to recontract it within 5 hours? I don't think so. And so I went in there demanding that they test my son for flu, and 15 minutes later, they came back out and said he absolutely tested positive for flu, not COVID. Flu does still exist. RSV still exists. There are respiratory orders that still exist that are impacting people on greater levels than COVID is. And so my son remained on that ventilator for 3 days. For 3 days. And I just remember sitting by his bedside yet again, wondering, how did we get to this place? How did a young, innocent child lose every sense of his abilities except to breathe? I say this to parents: fight. I've took notes and I've listened to your stories and your pain, and I have every intention to come across party lines and advocate for change and to go against vaccine mandates. There is no way that a kindergartner should be injected with this vaccine. There is no way that healthy 28-year-olds should be forced into getting a vaccine because of the population that they are serving. Nurses truly are our heroes. Those nurses who made that decision to rush my baby to the hospital, I salute them and I thank them. But they should not be forced into vaccinations just because they're caring for my son. I did choose to get my son vaccinated because of his high risk and the issues that he has. But me or my other child, nor my husband we're not getting the vaccine. And it's a choice that it took. My son was one of the last people in the facility to get vaccinated, because every time they called, I said, I got to pray about it. Call me back next week. I got to pray a little harder. Call me back next week. But when I seen that the flu put my son on a ventilator and I did not know what was going to come out of that, that's when I made the decision. I am pro-choice, not pro-force in this realm and in this space. And so I just wanted to just stop by and share just a tad bit of my story and the journey that we've been on. But as I made my son that promise, I asked each and every parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle in this space, in this room, to make sure you stand up for your loved ones, be their voice, be their advocate. There is nothing. I don't know anything about being a father, but there is nothing like the fight of a mama bear on the battlefield for her children, and I'll never go back.